In the upper left, folks, in the blue for Team Liquid, it's Khelazhur. And at the bottom right for the Shopify Rebellion in the red, give it up, it's Byun. So as we get here in game number 1, we should probably talk about what this match means. So we're in week five actually of the WTL, and Liquid and Shopify going into this match are tied up, or at least they're tied up in total series 1. Shopify is 2-2, Liquid is 2-2, but well, because Shopify has avoided some ace matches, Liquid has avoided some ace matches in the other direction. You have the Shopify team that has 7 points and Liquid only has 4. So Liquid actually is sitting below the playoff cutoff line. I mean, it's week 4. They're 12 weeks in the WTL. You don't really have to worry about it all that much at the moment. But Liquid is sitting fairly far behind where Team Liquid is a solid 5 or 6 places in the rankings, despite them having the same record, which is kind of interesting. You see Shopify's 2-2. They're like 6th place at this point. And then you look down and there are a bunch of 2-2-ish teams. Then you go to 1-3 teams, and then back to Team Liquid at 2-2. Always a bit, well, okay, that's just how the stats go. But let's talk about what we got here in game number 1, because Khelazhur and Byun are going to play a TvT, and Byun has been playing some dazzling TvT as of late. Against Maru, for example, it's all been looking really, really good. But it's not going to be on the same server, of course. I mean, they're making it fair, obviously, but you don't quite have the snappiness of proper Reaper Micro if you're playing on US Central, US West. Really, neither side does. And Khelazhur in general is a bit of an oddball. He's a bit of a, I don't know what you want to call it. He's got some interesting builds here or there, so we definitely have seen him pull up some upsets in the past. I wouldn't be surprised to see him do it here, but for now, we talk about oddball plays. There's nothing odd about this. And by the way, folks, I know I'm wearing a Team Liquid hoodie. I'm not cheering for Team Liquid. Liquid sent me this. Honestly, it's a really nice hoodie. They sent it to me from doing TSL, and they ran out of TSL shirts, which was unfortunate. But I guess that's just because people bought all the TSL shirts. So, you know, I can't really complain. Thank you for helping support that tournament. But they sent me this really nice hoodie. It's like super thick and warm. And very comfy, and they sent that to me by way of recompense, or by way of, oh well, you know, you can't have a shirt, but we can give you this. And honestly, I think I came out on the better end of that trade. It is so comfy, and now that it's starting to get cold up in New Hampshire again, it makes me very, very happy. Walking around, it's like 40 degrees, and I just don't feel the weather. It's awesome. Heavily recommended. But here comes Khelazhur on the map. 3 Reaper, 2 Hellion. So not the significant commitment of 5 Reaper, 2 Hellion that we sometimes see. No, it's just 3 and 2. And if Byun is not paying attention, certainly can catch him off guard. But the Widowmine here is already going to make this hold very easy. Hellion goes down, and yeah, the Reapers are still alive. But with the Marines here and the Hellion from Byun, this is very doable. In fact, there we go. That's the lineup. He gets them all. And yes, there's a Hellion still alive. And yes, Byun did lose his Reapers, but you take that one. Absolutely, you take that one. And the other thing we got to mention here, that was 2-1 from Byun. 2 Reapers, 1 Hellion, 2 Reapers, 2 Hellion, something like that. He didn't get as much defensively. As Khelazhur got aggressively, which meant he could get the Widowmine, which meant he could get a medevac out very early. And this is something that Byun has been experimenting with really in all 3 matchups. This 4-minute medevac with a couple Marines, maybe a Widowmine, maybe whatever he wants. And if it gets damaged, great. If not, honestly, not that big of a commitment. You want the starport anyways. The only thing you're lacking, of course, is maybe the Raven's a little bit slower. And that we see that as the case here. The Raven for Byun is only just now getting started. But even still, here comes the drop of the main base. And already Khelazhur a little bit behind because his damage did not work out. Now, Byun can delay this command center, but he's not going to target the Marine down. Instead, he needs to make sure he keeps the medevac alive. Will do so and boost right on out of there. But 3 workers do go down. And again, quite a nice start from Byun on both sides of the map. He gets the defense, he gets the offense, and now here comes the Cyclone, but Tank sees up in time, and Tank's 2-shot Cyclone, so you very much don't want to deal with that. For Khelazhur, he will at least avoid that problem, and well, the game goes on. 3rd base on the way from Byun. 3rd base just about done for Khelazhur, so while Byun has found himself in this really nice position as the Hellion will see the Raven at the very least. But anyway, Byun finds himself in this nice position because of the damage he's done and the damage he has not taken. Khelazhur is just steamrolling right into the mid game. So he understands that while he can't go and do too much on the map here, he can very much drop a third base and get ahead in that direction. So his third base is done. Orbital is on the way, and Byun, yes, he's building his third base on location, but Khelazhur will have triple SCV production for a while, triple mule production for a while. But that may not end up mattering because here comes a push from Byun. He's got a tank, he's got a Cyclone, he's got some Marines, and if he can find a way to break down the tank defensively, but the Cyclone does not get the lock on that he's wanting, and it's one tank versus two. I don't see the Raven from Byun anywhere. I guess it's in the main base. This pressure from Byun is not going to kill anything, but it is a distraction. So a couple more SCVs will go down. And Byun just continues to eke out little bits and bobs of pressure here and there. 4 SCVs go down here, 2 over there. He snipes down, he does not get that hit Raven. In fact, he loses the Cyclone. Unfortunate for Byun. But he snipes a unit here or there. Again, not end of the world damage, but it's starting to pile up a little bit. He's got himself a 5-worker lead. He's going to see that, well, actually, there's a chance he can go get some of these fresh mules, but instead he's just going to target some more SCVs, down 3 more die, and into the main base. Here we go. Once again, it's that medevac from earlier, the one that's been causing all sorts of consternation for Khelazhur, and Byun's going to get yet more SCVs. Now, no stim, which means this tank is probably going to stay alive, but he's just going to target down SCVs, and 7 more fall. Yes, the medevac is dead, but we can consider this one an unmitigated success. I guess technically it was mitigated, because those Marines died, but no, an unmitigated success here. Byun gets 10 more workers on top of the 10, 12 that he's already gotten. Third base is trying to land, but it will not be able to do so. Byun, he's up 15 workers. And honestly, he's going to be up a whole lot more than that, because the longer he delays this third base, the less SCVs that Khelazhur can produce. So, but he drops an auto turret defensively, who doesn't want Khelazhur to chase after him. And in fairness, Khelazhur, he's got a decent amount of tanks. I think his Viking count is eclipsing Byun's just slightly. So Byun will have to spend his scans to be aggressive. He will have to, his positioning is not going to be quite as easy as what Khelazhur has access to. But really, that is the only thing that Khelazhur has going in his favor for the most part. Again, Byun is on location. Byun's army is just about the same. He's up 20 workers at this point. We talked about how that worker supply would continue to compound as long as Khelazhur's orbital was in the air. Well, we saw that, a couple extra SCVs. And well, it's not like there's a 1-1 timing that Khelazhur can take advantage of either. So Khelazhur's gonna have to batten down the hatches on this one just a little bit. We're gonna have to see exactly where he goes, but he either has to find a lot of damage right now, or he just has to take us out to like a 15-20 minute game. And while he's posturing, Byun has his tanks well set up here, so Khelazhur's not going to move into that meat grinder. 5 tanks would immediately, we're not going to say evaporate his entire army because it doesn't quite have the room for that, but would knock out a good portion of his army. So Byun has his upgrades just about done, although his armor is, in typical Byun fashion, is just a little bit slower. But +1 attack just about done. Combat shields, 20 extra HP in the Marines. Tanks are going to siege up on the high ground. We got the one thing that is going in Khelazhur's favor, though, is we will see nice shutdowns there on 2 tanks that can get hit by the tanks. Actually, auto turrets are trying to get a second one, but well, only 1 tank does fall. And actually, this is a pretty good fight for Khelazhur. He loses a tank and another one gets low, but Byun loses both Ravens. He loses the Vikings, and well, Khelazhur owns the sky. He has got a lot of lockdowns, shutdowns coming in from the Ravens, and certainly he's going to be able to deny this 4th base. So Khelazhur finding at least a something on the map, but the question is, what does Khelazhur have defensively? Because all the Marines of Byun, with their +1 attack, combat shields, everything else, they're going to go on the other side, stimming in. SCVs have to get pulled, but seems like the tank and the Marines should be enough to make this, as I say that now. I could not be more wrong. SCVs, they die in the blink of an eye. 11 workers fall, 12 workers fall, and this counterattack, well, if Khelazhur was not already dead, Byun is certainly making him get more dead. The Vikings land, but they're not even killing this, not necessarily. So 12 workers have gone down, a tank died, a couple of Vikings died, and, well, big point about this, of course, the fact that Khelazhur has to give up his position on the map. He can no longer ensure Byun does not take the 4th base. Yes, Byun had to cancel it, but he just rebuilt it elsewhere. It's going to float over now. And Khelazhur did not buy himself enough time to get his own 4th base. So Byun's got 1-1. He's got +2 attack on the way. Again, pulling at Byun for getting his +2 attack. Just Byun things. I don't know why Byun does this more than anyone else, but he does. Not that he still wins the games though, so it can't matter all that much. He's still going to be ahead anyways, but the bio here from Byun is, well, it's going to continue to find yet more damage. 8 workers have gone down. Khelazhur he's really got to be on an all-in timing at this point. His army supply is not terrible, but with the upgrade disadvantage that he's dealing with, it's not incredible either. The Bio's going to jump on top of the tanks. They're going to get 3 of them. And with no tanks here to really buffer this, I mean, yes, there's one, but it's going to go down. Byun can take this fight, even with the armor shredder missile, the tanks on the ground, and the Marines as well. They knock everything out. So, yeah, you got some Ravens here, Khelazhur, but you don't really have much more than that. That one Marine, Jimmy on the high ground, is doing everything. He's doing everything he possibly can. But, hey, you know, Khelazhur, for the first time in this game, he's finding some amount of damage. He gets the tank, gets 5-6 STVs. Find it interesting, of course, that Byun is moving his STVs onto that, but I think he's of the opinion that it doesn't really matter. Because this pressure coming in, yeah, from Byun is going to do it. Khelazhur says, good game, well played. And he takes game 1 of the series. Shopify up 1. In the upper right, folks, in the blue, he's down 1 game in this series. Tried to make a comeback. It was not successful for Team Liquid. Khelazhur. And the bottom left, he's up 1. He held, he did damage. It's Byun. Byun's up 1. Look at that. I'm a poet. And if I was to quote my mother, I didn't even know it. So where to go in game 2, Inside and Out, is of course a much shorter map. And that means that maybe we're going to see a little bit more aggression. But as I talked about in that last game, when we talk about what is at stake here in this game, if Liquid manages to win 5-1, 4-2, they will tie themselves with Shopify Rebellion and then win on series score. They'll be 3-2. Shopify will be 2-3. Both will have 7 points. If Shopify wins, they put themselves in top 4. Simple as that. They'll move themselves. Well, actually, it's not quite as simple as that because it very much depends on the number of points they get. If they win in regulation, they actually move to they move to tie Onside Gaming. Now they'll be in 3rd place because Onside is 4-0 and Shopify is 2-2. But still, they'll have 10 points. They'll be there above DPG. But if they only get 2 points, right? If they win in the ace match, then they go and they tie DPG and Psystorm, who have yet to play this week. They're sitting at 3-1. So who knows where they're going to be, but they're going to be in top 4. They're going to be in top 5, probably. Although, unfortunately, they're in 5th place as it stands. So if DPG and Psystorm both win this week, then Shopify just needs to win this game to maintain their 5th place, right in the middle of the playoff bracket. And of course, you do want to maintain. You want to make sure you get as good as you can. As well, we don't see too much differentiation in this game number 2. Both Byun and Khelazhur, they've both opted for Barracks Double Gas Factory, that standard TvT build that you're all familiar with. You know what happens? You get enough Reapers, enough Hellions to keep yourself safe. You maybe try to do something on the map, but realistically, your opponent's doing the same thing. So he who pokes first pokes last. And then you go into the mid game. You get a bunch of Ravens. You get yourself on 3 bases, and that's when the game truly does start. To start, for the most part, Byun has started to experiment with some Banshee pressure a little bit. We've seen that. We've certainly seen, well, we actually saw in game 1, it didn't work out for Khelazhur, but we saw the overbuild of Hellions and Reapers to try to find some damage. But the Reapers are going to dive in the main base from Khelazhur, and they will immediately go down. Byun not really wasting any time, but ooh, 1 Reaper gets out here on literally 1 HP, or 6 HP, excuse me. 1 kill to its name, because Byun did lose 1 of his Reapers. I really thought the Hellion was going to get that final shot, but Khelazhur actually is able to get out. So the combat drugs will be very powerful in keeping that and healing that Reaper up. And now we move to the next level of aggression for Khelazhur. He's got a Cyclone on the map. And of course, anything that this stage in the game the Cyclone locks onto, it will kill it off. It's going to be interesting because Byun is going for a very similar build that he went for in game number 1 with the Medevac. And maybe Khelazhur's looking to catch that, but the Medevac is a 4-minute of 4:30 timing, not a 3:45 timing like Khelazhur seemed to be on the map for. So I guess he was just looking for Reapers and Hellions that maybe Byun decided to go and send out on the map. So here come the Cyclones and the Reaper now. Really at the same time that Byun moves out of the map with, was that 5 Marines? 4 Marines, a Reaper, and a Hellion. Again, this hodgepodge type of stuff, but if it gets the damage done, It's really all you're looking for. 3-4 SCVs are fantastic. So Reaper on the high ground, but the Cyclones will really not find anything really fruitful to lock onto. They're going to get some Marines, and that's nice, but nothing to really cause problems. 2 Reapers, they 3-shot SCVs. There's a lot of time for Byun to react, and the SCVs are going to get pulled here. A lot of them getting very low lineup. Oh, the Hellions are not getting the shot at once, but still 4 workers go down, and I think that Hellion could get a lot more. As Byun, he gets a Cyclone on the other side, but he's got to pick up. He's got to run away just a little bit because this medevac is very, very low. Indeed, the tank's going to siege up Byun. You got 2 options. You run away, or you dive on top of the SCVs. You get the friendly fire, and Byun will choose the former. But he got the Cyclone. He got 6 SCVs. And now he will lose the medevac, I think. But Byun is trying to bait this out, it looks like. He's got his other Cyclone as well, but yeah, okay. He just locks down the Marine, and he's got to run away. So he gets the Marine, but he builds himself a little bit of a worker advantage, and here comes the Raven as well. So Byun really not stopping with his absolutely patented early aggression. And these SCVs, by the way, are very, very low. So Auto Turret has the damage potential on a lot of them, and even still, he's denying mining from Khelazhur's base for a solid 15 seconds. That adds up, and even the Cyclone's not going to get all that much done. So Byun, it's not quite as dominant of a position as it was in game 1. Or Byun, it felt like he literally could do no wrong, but it's not terrible either. And here comes his pressure once again. I think he's 1 Raven and 1 right now, which does give him a bit of an option to shut those tanks down. But I think he is going to be lacking in the tank count compared to Khelazhur again, because he did commit to the early aggression. So it's just going to be auto turrets, name of the game. 1 on the left. Oh no, I'm sorry, he's got 2 Ravens. One's on the left side, one's on the right side, but he's actually getting a 3rd one here, which is really cool. We don't always see that, but this tells us that Byun might be going for a little bit more committed aggression. Later on, 3 Ravens gives you so much utility. It means you're almost guaranteed to deny your opponent's tanks from ever doing anything. Of course, behind this, Byun is getting his 4th and 5th racks. His 3rd base is down. He is advancing into the mid game, but he does have this rather powerful timing where, again, he will have these 3 Ravens. And we may see him really start to shut down, just dive into the natural shutdown the tanks. As Marine died. Scouting Marine from Khelazhur. It's a sacrifice that he's willing to make, of course. Ooh, Cyclone gets a good lock on. Oh, that's great from Byun. The tank doesn't have range, so Raven's actually going to spend one of its disables on the Cyclone, as the tank already takes 50% damage. So Byun can absolutely dive on top of this now. But the Raven gets to the main base, and he will lose that 1 Raven. But still, double auto turret is powerful. And I'm somewhat surprised to see Byun not diving on top of this. Again, he has significant Raven priority right now. But it seems like he's just going to posture on the map, make sure that he gets his 3rd base faster. Auto turrets from Khelazhur getting a lot more damage than they did in game number 1. But this Raven should go down. The Vikings chase it down, but Byun loses 7-8 workers, and this is not the clean defense we saw from Byun in game number 1. And it looks like the Raven escaped too, so that is very nice indeed. Tanks get some really nice shots. They're going to trade 1 for 1 there. Marine falls, but Khelazhur is slowly breaking out of his contain. So Byun not as interested in breaking with the Ravens anymore, like I kind of thought he would. So he just runs both Ravens into the main base and drops auto turrets. There we go. That's the 2nd auto turret. So a little bit more damage getting done. The Ravens, they may struggle to escape here with the Vikings that Khelazhur has, but Khelazhur also feels the need to have them at the front, giving him that position. So looks like these Ravens actually may be able to get out. I mean, the game is still fantastic for Byun. Yes, Khelazhur has his 3rd base on location. He's starting to main art some SCVs over to it, but Byun's been mounting at that one for the while. And actually, he's going to move up pretty far forward here, and it seems like he thinks he can take the Viking trade. He absolutely can. He did the math. He did the numbers. So now Khelazhur does not have air superiority anymore. Byun does take a little bit extra damage on the Viking, and now Khelazhur with his reinforcements will reclaim that priority. So at the end of the day, a little bit awkward. Actually, the Ravens, they kill the Cyclone. Cyclone is supposed to kill the Ravens, but auto turrets are powerful things. So 5 more SCVs go down. Ravens in the main base as well. And yeah, Byun can't necessarily go in and put pressure on the 3rd base. The tanks are there. They're cutting things out. But there we go. Now we're going to see the Ravens go down. Khelazhur finally in location, but 9 more workers have died. Byun's up 14. So even as Khelazhur got a lot of damage done with his Raven on the bottom side of the map, just as we've always seen, or we've been seeing for a little bit, Byun is just finding more damage, and his upgrades are so much faster too. His 1-1 is done right around the same time the Khelazhurs are starting. That is such a in the Marine fight here. I mean, the Marines of Byun, they cannot fight. Khelazhur's Marines cannot fight anymore, especially if they're stimmed. Byun is, look at them melt. They're all just going down. Yes, you do have armor or anti-armor missile, and that's doing something, but the Vikings, the main base, they land, do a lot of harassment. 15 workers go down. Byun has to kite backwards because the tanks arrive, but 17 workers have died. Make it even more. Khelazhur taking damage from every angle, so the only angle he can take is to leave the game. Byun takes a 2-0 and Shopify quickly into a 2-0 lead. And now we move into our second best of two in the bottom left in the blue for Team Liquid. It's Elazer. His opponent in the upper right, the Queen of Blades herself. For the Rebellion, it's Scarlett. And folks, I have absolutely no idea how this ZVZ is going to go, but I can tell you how it's going to start. Scarlett opens with a 12 pool on the biggest map in the pool. You normally don't see this. 12 pool is not an all-in by any stretch. It's pressure, sure, but it's not an all-in. So the goal, it works really well on short maps. The Lings run across. They're able to do damage to the hatchery before the hatchery is done, which then means they can do damage on it. But as I say that, Scarlett pulls a drone here, and we're going to see her do something a little bit sneaky. I think this is going to be a hatch cancel into a spine. I think that's what this is going to be. So it's not a 12 pool drone pull necessarily, but it is a much more committed than just a 12 pool. But it's a little middle of the road, so it's kind of this. You don't have to do quite as much damage, but it certainly can catch your opponent off guard if you're not expecting it. But Elazer, and we see Scarlett. She gives a little bit of a frown here. Elazer sees this. He sees the drone, and now, well, he knows that's a 12 pull, and he knows what Scarlett was trying to do. So immediately, Scarlett has to pull the drone home, but it's data C. This is it's like 37-second rush distance, natural to natural. Scarlett has lost a solid minute of mining time. It's almost a drone's worth of money on the mining. So she has to do even more damage on this one. And, well, the spawning pool is just about done. The hatchery is just about done. Again, there's a reason that we don't see this as much on data C, because the Lings are going to get like 2 seconds on the hatch way before it gets that armor up. And now, well, Lings are on the way. Queens are on the way. I don't know how much damage Scarlett's going to get done here, but there's always a shot, especially if the drone micro is not perfect from Elazer. But for right now, it's looking very nice. Indeed, some drones get yellow, but that's just about it. And remember now, Elazer's looking to lose less than 4 or 5 drones. He's going to lose 2 to start. Scarlett actually peels off a little bit, even from the damage opportunity to kill the Lings before the drones really start to arrive. 3 workers, do go down. But now as the Lings pop, that is going to do it. So Scarlett does not get the damage she needs, not in any way, shape, or form. And now the Lings will chase her back. So the game is in Elazer's court now. Where he goes from here, we're going to have to see. He has many different opportunities. You can look to play a standard game. You can go for a carapace timing. Don't hate to see that one whatsoever. The one thing, of course, that is true in this game is both players, their link speeds is going to be very delayed. And actually, we see Elazer dropping a gas now. So it seems like it will be almost a gasless play. And remember, folks, a gasless play doesn't mean you literally never get gas in the game. It means you don't open with it. You don't open with speed. You take your gases a little bit later on, and it just opts into Roach play or something. But, as I say that, it's single gas. We don't see a Roach horn going down, so I'm just lying. I'm just opting in to tell a story that is not even remotely true, because these are the privileges I have as a caster. You're welcome. But Scarlett, of course, is going gasless. So double gas going down right now, but there will be no speed in this game. And, well, we're going to see a bunch of roaches pop out. I don't think she gets speed whatsoever. But Elazer is opting into something maybe a little bit... Oh, never mind. He just got... he found himself supply block, so he gas canceled. Excuse me. It's like, 2 extra gas here at an interesting time. That's a lot of roaches you're going to build, and maybe going to 2-base muta. Ooh, okay, this is kind of cool. So he's going to catch the Lings on the right side, and... maybe get an extra 1, trying to zone them out, or zone them in, really. But here the Queens are going to arrive, and with 3 of them here, Elazer's not going to get that much done, even as he tries to be a little cute with it. But I was talking about how I didn't think we were going to see link speed, and I said I thought we were going to see link speed. Well, I was right the first time. because Elazer, at this point, he is absolutely safe. Oh, he's going to get Lings on natural here. Great scout from Elazer. He's going to be able to click on the gas to see how much they've mined. And he needs to get on the main base, too, to confirm whether or not there is gas. So Lings, they will go to the main base now. They're going to, in fact, see that there is one gas and lair on the way. You won't know how far along it is, of course, but he sees the structure that Scarlett has, the natural. He sees that Scarlett is on 3 gas. So his assumption is going to be roach pressure. But Scarlett adds a 4th gas. The lair just about done. It's looking pretty realistic that Scarlett may opt into mutas behind this one, like a 2-base muta type of setup. Yes, she's building roaches. Yes, she has +1 ranged. But those are safety roaches. And there is a very realistic world where she just, again, goes for that 2-base muta. But Elazer is also, I'm not going to say also, but Elazer is going for that Spire after all. So both players ping-ponging between the builds that they want to do. And if Scarlett drops the Spire at this point, I really don't like her chances because the Elazer Spire is first, and he does have 6 gas. When you were talking about muta versus muta play, yes, there are a lot of games to play. Yes, there's a lot of micro and all these other things, but it often comes down to gas. Scarlett's mining off 4 gas and Elazer's mining off 6. That is just 2 gases less mutas that you can mine. That is maybe slower Carapace upgrade. And Carapace is the almighty upgrade when we're talking about Muta Wars. Maybe you don't have +1 melee on your Lings, but, well, there is no Ling here as no Ling speed, so the Lings aren't going to be all that useful anyways. Elazer will be able to deny the scout of Scarlett. So Scarlett has no idea. She thinks this is a roach. She's building more roaches of her own as her 3rd base is on the way, but Elazer's building, his Spire's just about done. The one thing I'm curious, though, is just how many mutas Elazer is planning on building, whether this is a roach muta timing, whether it's roach and harassing mutas, what exactly he looks to go for. And it will be 6 mutas to start. His roach speed just about done, but Scarlett, actually never mind, she will not have the timing. Elazer, he runs away just a little bit faster, and Scarlett now, of course, she does have her +1 attack, but well, that is the big difference, because Scarlett has +1 attack. Her roaches are better than the roaches of Elazer, but if Elazer ever takes a fight with the mutas in the sky, Scarlett will just lose. The amount of damage that the mutas can pop in, while not being a ton, is enough to make with all the glaives bouncing, it kills the roaches quickly enough that they, if you're taking a roach fight's a long fight. So over the 15-20 seconds that roaches headbutt or something, the mutas, they will do in rather significant damage. So Scarlett on her 3 bases opts to immediately go into a Hydra Den, gets Burrow as well, Burrow move, which is the response to a big muta swap, but that's not what Elazer's doing. His +1 attack, by the way, is very far off. That is certainly an advantage that Scarlett has, but he's just building more and more roaches. And we're going to see him max out on roach, maybe some ravagers, but primarily roaches. And Scarlett is reacting to this as if it was, again, a heavy muta commitment. And by the way, Scarlett, not supply block necessarily, because she's got a lot of overlords, but she just lost like 5-6 overlords. And the mutas, she's doing a good job of dissuading the mutas from doing anything for the most part. But they will continue to be pressure on the map. But even still, they just killed 600 resources worth of, 600 minerals worth of overlords, and that's not insignificant. But Elazer's getting very close to where he wants to be. And, ooh, that's going to be a dead Ravager. Or Queen's going to spend a transfuse, but that's less energy the Queens will have to keep themselves alive in the ensuing fight. Because here comes Elazer. He's up about 30-40 army supply. +1 is not done just yet, so he's really hitting with that anti-timing, but Scarlett may just not have enough here whatsoever. Biles try to land, but Elazer does not let that happen. He dodges all the Biles here, and the concave is just so significant that Scarlett trying to dive on top of things, even without the upgrades. Elazer is carrying this fight, and the Hydras, they arrive, but they are too little too late. In fact, Hydras against this army are just really not good whatsoever. So Elazer, 166 supply to 117. Scarlett, she was bamboozled, she was boom-bazzled, and she was behind from the start anyways. Elazer takes map number 3, does a little shimmy. And, hey, Team Liquid's on the board. And now in the upper left, folks, he's up 1 for Team Liquid. It's Elazer. The bottom right, upper right in the red on Stargazers, it's Scarlett. Stargazers is an interesting map in ZVZ because you have that pocket base, and Normally, we talk about the pocket base as a Terran thing. It is something where the Terran, they go and they mine out of it much more efficiently, and they take the base. And if it's a Zerg, if it's a Protoss they're playing against, well, it tends to get taken much later. But ZVZ is the exception, because really because of how the timings go, you can defend the natural very easily. If your opponent link floods you or something, you kind of want to give the natural up and take the pocket base anyways. So it's not too out of the ordinary to see someone go and take a very quick third base to mine those minerals out, because, well, really until Hive, there is no aggressive option that your opponent will have. Now, maybe you can proxy hatch and do something, and that is something that we've seen Rex mess around with in this matchup against Protoss in particular. But, well, it looks like we are seeing Elazer actually do that on this map number 4, map 2 in this series. As we see the drones, they're going to go mine out. So this is going to be a very quick third base. Scarlett is not going to scout this super quickly. Yeah, she's probably going to see it before the hatch goes down, I think, or right around that time, based on the Overlord timing, which means she could react to it well enough. But she's already gotten gas. And as she's starting to mine off gas here, I don't think she's going to pull off gas at like 44 gas and start going gasless 3 hatch expand. But at least she knows what's happening, so she can drop her third base at a reasonable timing. But the big thing now is she can start building into something aggressive. What exactly that form of the aggression is, it is up to Scarlett, whether it's a carapace timing. I don't think we're going to see 2-base Muta, despite this map having so much dead airspace. Not a lot of angles to it to actually attack into out of that dead airspace. So I don't know that we see 2-base Muta. It could be Nidus play, as the Overlords are already getting set up for it. We're going to have to see just what Scarlett goes for. Because again, she has the options. She has the full scout on things. She's aware of what's happening. But just because you scout something out, especially when you're in a bit of a build order disadvantage, as Scarlett is, you got to do a little bit more than scouting it out. So third base at a more reasonable timing, 30-32 supply. The big deal, of course, is she's taking this in the triangular third. So she's going aggressive with her expand, and this might give us some inkling of what her approach is towards this game. You take the third hatch, you take that in aggressive position, and, well, you kind of flood roaches from there. And actually, the rush distance from the triangular third over to Elazer's natural is really not all that far. So I think we're going to see something more on the roach ling side of things, maybe not even getting a lair. But for now, Elazer's trying to scout it as much as he can. He will see the roach warren, but honestly, that's not a big scout. This roach warren is not particular. Excuse me, Evo chamber. Never mind. As he sees the Evo chamber, this actually is a fairly nice scout. So sees this wiggling, that should tell him that, okay, it could be +1 melee. It could be a ling +1 melee lings into a Muta timing, but it's 340. There's no ling speed. You can assume at this point that Scarlett is not going for ling speed, so the read should be carapace. And carapace is exactly what we see. Meanwhile, Scarlett on the other side scouts out that there's a full wall there. Of course, you can knock the wall down if you're a Zerg, you know, it's not that big of a deal. But anytime you're killing the Evo chamber, anytime you're killing a Roach Warren, it's time that your opponent's army is attacking in to you. So we're gonna have to see really how prepared Elazer is for this one. Scarlett +1 carapace halfway done. I mean, she's pumping roaches. No more drones are popping out at this point. She got the one drone at the third base just to hit optimality of 42 workers. But it is roach from there, and lings as well, again with the ling speed. So what exactly does the Elazer have the scout in this one? I don't know that he does. He's droning more and more, and honestly 57 to 42 is more than enough. He's gonna see these roaches now, and we need to see him first of all cancel carapace. This is very greedy, going 6 gas 1-1 against what is effectively a 2-base timing. But there we go. Okay, carapace is canceled. Kind of want to keep +1 melee because that can counterattack the carapace damage for the most part. But spines have to go down right now. All the queens have to be brought to the front. We need to see a rewall here because otherwise this queen is just going to go down. It looks like the queen is in fact dead. So here comes Scarlett into the natural. Roaches are going to fall, and as the drones are going to get pulled, Elazer really does not have a lot to defend this one. A second queen will fall, and that's a lot of healing, a lot of beef really that is now lost from the army of Elazer at this point, as the lings now flooding forwards. Only 2 Ravagers for Scarlett, but it seems like that is all that she will need. The biles go down. The spine almost dies, and it will go down in just a second longer. 13 workers have dead, and Elazer was very greedy in this game, and Scarlett has just the perfect solution. It seems like roaches die as they pop. Biles are going to force Elazer to go back, or he's going to eat the Biles, and that's even worse. So all the roaches, they're taking a lot of damage. The attempted Ravagers will not be allowed to morph here, and Scarlett's at 52 workers to 26. The Lings, the roaches, are just not dying quickly enough for Elazer at this point. And now she's going to target down, +1 ranged as well. So Elazer doesn't even get that one. And Scarlett, she lost game 1, but she will take the second. And now Shopify Rebellion up 3-1. But coming up next, it's going to be Harstem and Clem, and that's a little harder. And now third series in the upper right. He is the ringer for Team Liquid, the little corporal. It's Clem. His opponent on the bottom left in the red. El Captain. El Capitan. It's Harstem. El Captain. Man. What a Spanish accent. Oh, yeah. I really love my tortillas. But, ooh, look at this now. Harstem. He's cannon rushing a Terran. No one does this, by the way. And there's good reason. The Terran can just lift up and go elsewhere. But sometimes it works. Reminder of the time that Prince almost cannon rushed Maru out of the GSL. That was a fun time. It only happened once, but there we go. So Clem now scouts on the low ground, sees that there is a pylon here and STV as well. They're already going to start patrolling. So that nice little position that Harstem is trying to drop a cannon, that really, there we go. Okay, so he gets the cannon down now, actually. But this is all about buying time for Clem at this point. He wants the barracks to get up. He needs Marines to start popping out here and starting to shell away from the high ground. Oh, Clem already gets one probe, so that's actually going to be a lot less potential from this cannon rush from Harstem already. Meanwhile, Clem, by the way, he's got an STV patrolling on the other side, so Clem will not allow Harstem to go get a natural behind this. So first Marine halfway done, as the first cannon does complete, but this bunker will have range, I believe, on the cannon, and certainly just the lack of high ground vision is the thing. So Marine has to be careful about where it goes, and both the cannons, I think you want to target them on the same thing, but actually, well, if you target, okay, there we go. Is targeting the one supply depot, and he's going to go the this is going to be, there we go. So this is going to be the dead first supply depot for Harstem at this point. He's going to get the second one as well, which will supply, actually Clem is supply blocks right here. He's getting a Reaper, interestingly enough, but Clem now 24 out of 23. He got another supply depot done, but that's a bit of a problem. Is now the probe goes a little bit further, so this bunker will be salvaged, and the pressure from Harstem commences, but he only got one probe. And what that means is, well, it's really hard for him to go on the high ground to get the second level of cannon rushing up, but it's only 2 Marines, so this pylon is, I don't know that it's going to go up, but okay, actually, I think it does. It goes up just briefly, and that's how you get the cannon down, but no, Harstem just cancels it. Meanwhile, he has a Nexus behind this. He's got a Cybercore as well, but this just was not successful, I don't think. Yeah, it killed a couple supply depots, but Clem's expanding on the high ground. Marines, they're going to show up, and, well, 2 probes have gone down, and now with nothing to give high ground vision, these cannons eventually die, and so too does the pylon, and then that's, what, 350 minerals plus the lost mining time that you don't have, and the Reaper on the other side, well, there's no shield battery here, so probes have to get pulled to defend this, and Harstem, they're just probes. He's got an Adept getting chroned out on, but that's going to be 3 probes dead, although I think one of them was on the other side. Even still, there's going to be a lot of dead probes. And I would not blame Harstem if he left the game right now. And I don't think he will. He's probably going to play the game out, but he's down 4 workers. Oh, Clem dives on the low ground. Doesn't get the probe, though, unfortunately, but he gets the cannon. And that is going to be the end of this rush, really and truly. There we go. That's another dead probe. So this is, what, 6 dead probes, 7 dead probes in the course of this game. 2 cannons going down. The pylon's going to fall eventually. Yeah. Harstem's going to try to play this out, but when the Terran player at 4 minutes into the game is up 4 workers on the Protoss, that's a yikes. So the Reaper will fall on the other side, so it's not going to get too much more as the Hellion shows up, looks for a scout. Clem is well aware of everything that Harstem is doing. He's going to see the starport. I mean, I think he probably would have expected the starport anyways, because, well, cannon rush into Stargate is probably, I don't know. I don't know of a better match. Tale as old as time, dark as rhyme, Beauty and the Beast, something like that. I don't know. Point being, it really shouldn't surprise anyone. But this is interesting. Harstem is moving into Phoenix behind this. Robo on the way, so it seems like he expects aggression from Clem, and I think that's fair. When you are ahead, there are two ways about it. You know, you get more ahead, you take that third base really quickly, or you get a lot of tech, or you get a lot of army, and you punish your opponent for just having the temerity to do anything, to attempt to do anything too. So, if you expect that second level of Widowmine drops or Hellion drops or something, even just a tank-based push or something, getting these Phoenix does allow Harstem to deal with a lot of that one. Shoot the Medivacs down, lift all the Widowmines, things like that. But it seems like Clem's just going for a 3-1-1. +1 stim combat shields are all on the way. And yes, Clem is moving out now, but I think part of that is just on the understanding that there is literally only 3 Phoenix on the map. I think that is the entirety of Harstem's army. Which is, yeah, they can lift up Cyclones just fine, but that really is all that they can do. They do not fight a bunch of Marines appropriately. So, yeah, we're getting a couple more Phoenix. I think we're on 4, maybe 5. Yeah, it looks like we're on a 4 Phoenix right now, and there's probably a little bit of supply elsewhere. But it seems like Clem actually doesn't want to go out and move out on the map as much as I thought. And again, that's fair. A little bit surprised to see it, but you can rationalize it, of course, that, well, okay, if you don't think your opponent has anything, you just go and get active on the map. But you want to wait for your timings. +1 stim, combat shields, medivacs, all these good things. And that's exactly where Clem is going right now. But Harstem should be able to get a nice pick off, get a couple Widowmines at the very least, as there's a Colossus on the way. I think Clem hits this timing before the Colossus is done. So it really will all be about the shield battery and the shield battery overcharge on the high ground to keep Harstem safe, as he does not even have a third base. Clem's going to rotate over. He's going to knock the pylon down, just remove a little bit of map vision from Harstem. And it remains to be seen whether he is interested in stimming up the ramp, because that can always be very scary. As the Terran, it actually looks like he's just going to get his third base on location. Not the fastest third base possible, but certainly faster than your typical 3-1-1. So instead of trying to stem up the ramp and find that timing necessarily, he's just going to play and deny the third base for as long as he can. But as the Colossus pops out, we move from an army that Clem can get a lot of damage done with to one that it's a little bit lacking. No Marauders, no tanks, nothing like that. So just a bunch of Marines, and they will die very quickly. Now here come the Marauders. Now here comes round 2 of Clem's aggression, but he's only have about 10 army supply. Harstem has cut a lot to keep himself alive, but he has kept himself alive. So it seems like Harstem has completed step 1 of maybe winning this game anyways, and that is getting yourself into the mid game. He's not there just yet, but his army is rather powerful for what Clem has. But unfortunately for Harstem, unlike Byun, Clem is a player that actually builds Vikings. Which is actually kind of fun. I talked to Byun about this the other day. I'm like, you know, dude, I just don't see you build Vikings. Like, what gives? And his response was, he's like, yeah, you know, I see Maru and I see Clem and I see them build Vikings, but I just don't think Vikings are cost effective. So I just don't go for it. I think they're really clunky units. They're not very fun. The Vikings actually, they do lose their lives fairly quickly to these Phoenix. So nice job there from Harstem. Again, buying himself more room, buying himself more time. In fact, he's so committed to the Phoenix now, he's getting +1 air. Which means we are somewhat likely to see a carrier transition coming out of the player very soon. There goes second Stargate on the way at the very least. Harstem making the judgment that he's not going to be able to do too much in the mid game against this army. And I think that's a very fair assessment. Widowmine goes off, gets really not as much as I thought it was. Good splits there from Harstem. But anyways, Harstem makes the correct read that he's not, I don't think, going to be able to do too much in the mid game. So you kind of skip it. You go straight to the late game. And the one thing we're missing for us is Fleet Beacon. He's getting +1 air, and I cannot imagine this is just going to be for mass 2 Stargate Phoenix. And even then, if you're going 2 Stargate Phoenix, you kind of want to get any Pulse Crystals. So there we go. There's the Fleet Beacon on the way. As Harstem will get out, there's the 4th base. Now, of course, as Ghosts start to pop out, the Phoenix are become even less useful. The Vikings continue to fall. As the Ghosts pop out, the Phoenix become even less useful. Because, well, you just EMP the Ghosts and they don't have lift, and that becomes problematic. But Harstem has done a really good job of denying Vikings left, right, and center. Oh, that's a big Widow Mine. Gets 2 kills and heavily damages the rest. It seems like Clem is done with this nonsense of having his Viking sniped and not being able to move out because of it. He's on double starport. And that is the proper response to Mass Phoenix. Actually, I said I didn't think this was going to be Annie Pulse Crystal, like double Stargate Phoenix. I'm wrong. And that's a lot of fun. I thought this was just going to go straight into carriers, but Inside and Out is a short map, so you can't necessarily afford Mass Carrier, but you can afford Annie Pulse Crystal +1 Phoenix. And this can be a very powerful army if microed properly. It really knocks down all the Phoenix rather quickly. Then the Medivacs get sniped down, then it lifts everything. And well, there is a method to the madness of the army, but Annie Pulse Crystal's not yet done. Neither two is a +1 attack on the ground, but there we go. Harstem going up to 10-12 Phoenix. He feels comfortable now, and now the carrier production is started in earnest. His economy has recovered. 75 workers to 75. His fourth base is much faster, and with disruptors here, well, that explodes a lot. We're going to see a Cyclone go down. We're going to see a Marauder go down, and this is starting to look like a game where there's at least a chance. In the words of someone, but I'm, don't remember who it was, but in the words of the meme, so you're saying there's a chance. But oh, I love this from Harstem now. Dropping a Nexus, and this Nexus is for one thing and one thing only. It is for shield batteries. It is to make sure the shield batteries that you drop have 100 energy, not 50. It is to make sure that you can shield battery overcharge. It's actually, we saw Classic do this against Byun in the middle of the map, actually, and that was really cool. He didn't end up winning that game, but wasn't necessarily because of that. But anyway, Power Stemming on the right side, but there's a decent amount of cannons here and a shield battery and a Colossus, so I don't know how much damage this really gets done. And Harstem is starting to max out. He's at 180 supply. His carriers are on the way, +2 attack on the way, plentiful disruptors. Adding the triple Stargate, I would like to see a second Robo, I think, just to allow him to rebuild if he ever loses the army. But even still, I'm really starting to like the position of Harstem in this game. His army is terrifying. Yeah, he's down upgrades. That's the big thing. It's 2-2 versus 1-0 on both sides. But the damage of this army is bursty enough that you don't really care. You do care, but it's not the end of the world. The Vikings, they run in. One Colossus is going to go down pretty much immediately. But here come the Phoenix trying to get on top of the Vikings, really preventing that damage. And the carriers come out as well. But that's where the EMPs, they come to play. And they land rather nicely. A good percentage of Harstem's army does go down. And remember, folks, there is no Twilight. It is Phoenix Carrier or bust. Mothership, I guess, as well. So, again, Charge Lot's not a thing. Blink Stalker's not a thing. The only thing that can deal with this Viking army is the army that is actually in the airs. Notice what Harstem's doing here. He's kind of passively attacking the Nexus to make sure that all of his interceptors are out. And that means that this fight's going to be a lot better for him as the Vikings now, they're going to start to take a lot of damage here. Here come the Phoenix moving in. Widowmine doesn't look like he got all that much, actually. The disruptors are going to zone out the rest. So Harstem, it takes a pretty decent trade to start. But he does have to rebuild a decent amount of interceptors, as I'm pretty sure that's what the Widowmine hit. In fact, there's kind of a fun anti-carrier Terran strat that we don't see all that much because it is somewhat trolly, where you just get a lot of Widowmines with Speed Burrow, with Drilling Claws, and you just burrow them under the carriers, and then, well, some carriers die, but really it's all to get the interceptors. +2 air attack done, +3 on the way, 3 carriers at a time. And by the way, Harstem is on 4 Stargate, which makes sense. 1 Stargate per base is the amount that you can afford. But here comes the bio stimming. They're going to get a lot of the static defense start here, but all the interceptors are now out. Ghost getting lifted, but the EMPs were rather nice. And the Vikings, well, they fight pretty positively here because the Phoenix are rather low indeed. Pretty much all out of shields, but Harstem feels at least somewhat comfortable in chasing. I don't know that I agree with that one. Certainly, if we see Clem start to try to turn, it's not going to work out all that well for them with the disruptors. But now these Vikings, they're going to kill all the Phoenix. And there's a lot more room for them to fight, but certainly the carriers in dead airspace, yeah, this is starting to become a little bit more a problem. So the Vikings, they got to run away. And Colossus is killing the next. Harstem, you got it. Thank you. Just a little scary there. Now Harstem, he feels like he's held on long enough to get his 5th base on the way. He's got, again, +3 attack, very close to completion. He's got +1 air armor on the way. And the disruptors, the carriers, everything else, they're the splash damage just to allow the carriers to fight properly. EMP, reveals almost everything. Disruptor shot doesn't really get all that much, but it was close, so there's that. And the army continues to run forward, but this is not an army that you can chase necessarily. Is -400, -400. The mothership will go down pretty much instantaneously. You got to get on top of the army, and this is where the Protoss wishes they had fungal, but still, the interceptors, they're joining the fray. How many do we have? I don't know. Disruptor shots go out as well. Vikings kiting around, but the Phoenix as well, and it seems like Harstem has to back up. I don't know how many interceptors he has, but he lost a lot of them. And I don't think that was necessarily cost effective for him. When you take a fight like that, you need to pair it with the Colossus, with the disruptors. So as the bio, they stim in, they try to kill all the interceptors. Ooh, Clem, that's a big shot. You don't want to take that. As the bio stims in to deal with the interceptors, in come the disruptor shots, in come the Colossus shots, and suddenly it doesn't really work out all that well for the Terran. This already low army starts to just evaporate. But Clem, realizing that a good percentage of the Phoenix are now done, is going to try to drop the main base. But there are plentiful carriers here, and they are going to shred everything on the ground. The bio doesn't even have 3-3 yet, so yeah, 3 SCVs have died, or 3 probes have died, but that really should be the extent of things, except, well, the carriers are not microed properly, so that's going to be a little bit more. Fleet Beacon's going to get targeted down, but will not go down. And Stalkers, they warped in defensively, but that's probably the worst unit. And the second worst unit. Zealous would probably be worse, but that's not a great unit to warp in. And Harstem, well, his Nexus was EMP'd, so he does not have the energy to recall his carriers over to the bottom right side, which means he just loses this base. And this is the downside of playing the style that Harstem is playing. It's very strong in the early late game. But you start to hit this point where the Terran just has the ability to play on the map more than you do, and unless your army splits are absolutely perfect, and even then you have to be the one putting pressure on the map for the most part, the Terran starts to tear you apart. And you can't get off 4 bases. So that's what we're seeing happen to Harstem right now. He's got 3-1 carriers. I mean, they're powerful. And Clem will struggle to take a head-on fight. But Clem, I don't know that Clem's necessarily going to be looking for a head-on fight for quite a while. And even then, the Viking count is glorious. And he's got, well, +3 air attack just about done. So he's going to annihilate wherever he finds in the skies. He'd love to have some armor as well, but doing the damage is rather nice indeed. It looks like this Nexus will go down. Harstem, again, just trying to make sure all of his interceptors were out. But now that means there will be no shield battery overcharge, and that pushes through center. But Clem has roughly allowed Harstem to max out once again. We're going to have to see whether this is to his detriment, because, again, as much as I'm talking about how good of a game this is for Clem, and it is starting to very much be a good game for Clem, the army of Harstem is not bad, as we're going to see a fight get taken here, and interceptors, they try to knock things down, but really it's just Vikings killing Phoenix at this point. So the Phoenix are important because they deal with the Vikings in some way, shape, or form. So that you do have to make sure you get the Phoenix up. Taking, again, these kiting fights where the Vikings, they run forward, they kill something, they kite backwards, they run forward, they kite back, is not what the Protoss is looking for. They're trying to take head-on fights. They're trying to actually engage into their opponent and get all the interceptors out, allow them to stick. And actually, the interceptors killing the rocks that's just a prime target. Meanwhile, a nuke lands, knocks down a lot of stack defense, and this Nexus is very, very low indeed. So I think Clem may just actually kill this. And then it's going to be 3 base Protoss versus a 5 base, a 6 base Terran. And +1 air armor is about halfway done. Vikings, they're going to see the disruptors, and that's the second benefit of winning the air battle effectively. Is it feels like Clem's almost done that at this point. It means that you have superior air vision, much like a TvT. So you're going to see where those disruptors are. You're going to see where their shots are without having to drop scans. Although at this point, Clem has plentiful orbitals, so he can really drop as many scans as he would like. But Harstem's maxed out again. 4 Phoenix on the way at a time, as he seems very comfortable with his carrier count. And the one thing we got to worry about, of course, is just the all-in. This army that Harstem has is almost 150 army supply. It's got 12 carriers, a Colossus, a bunch of disruptors. If he can actually move onto the other side of the map and take the fight to Clem, there is a 1A, 1 punch that he can maybe make something happen here. The Phoenix diving on top of the Vikings without the Vikings really getting a counterpunch here. So a couple of Vikings are going to die very quickly. EMPs that blanket the army, but not the Phoenix for the most part, so that's fine. Carriers, they don't really want to be fighting anyways. They want the interceptors to be, but here come the Vikings running forward, but they're not going to get anything just yet. And Harstem, he's still got a shot in this game. He's got to be careful. This fight is rather scary, and he does not want to fight under the missile turrets. But if he can pen Clem into a wall, that's absolutely what he's going to be looking for. And we're actually going to see the disruptors. They're just clearing the stack defense, so they're going to try. As here come the Vikings running forward, but a carrier still is not dying just yet. Vikings, though, on the way 5 at a time. A lot of Vikings have fallen, though. And it does seem here that Harstem has been able to, well, section Clem away from the position that he wants to hold on. So I think this orbital dies, and most importantly, it keeps the interceptors out on the map. But it's only 51 of them. And the Vikings now, they're starting to take actually tremendous damage. This is starting to look pretty nice for Harstem, to be totally honest. The Viking count is very low. And once the Vikings go down, the army on the ground really doesn't fight quite as well. So Harstem, he kills the base, he kills 20 SCVs, he knocks down almost the entirety of the Viking count. Yes, there are more, but still. Here come Vikings on the right side. They're all just going to go down. Yeah, you take that one every day of the week. So now only 15 Vikings. But Harstem's starting to maraud around a little bit further, but you got to be so careful. The disruptors, they're all going to get jumped upon. And now the splash damage that you're looking for is really not there. We're going to see the Phoenix. They're just lifting whatever they can, but the interceptor count's only on 25, and Clem, he pounces upon it all. The disruptor's not with the army like they needed to be, and now Clem, I guess one of the 2 maps he needs to send us to an ace match. And that, folks, he's up 1. He needs 1 more. It's Clem. In the upper right in the red. Remember, folks, 1 map here wins the week in regulation for Shopify. It gives them that 3 points. It ties them in points with DPG, although, again, they don't quite have the series score. It puts Shopify in a great spot. Even if they win in regulation after then, even if they win in the ace match, they only get 2 points. They no longer leapfrog a couple teams in the standings. Aw, I just got a Twitter DM from someone that was just saying, "Hey, thanks for uploading the WTL cast on YouTube. Their consistency really brings me a lot of joy." So you're welcome, person on the internet. I'm not gonna say your name unless you want me to, but actually, you're in my streams enough. Maverick, thank you so much. But folks, if you want to say nice things to me as well, comments are open, or mean things. You're welcome to say that too. I have a thick skin, although not quite literally a thick skin. My skin is just about as thick as any other person's, and I'm made well aware of that fact when I'm playing Ultimate and I go for a dive, or I go for a bid, I dive on the ground, and then my hip is all torn up, and it's very sad. Actually, I have on my right hip, this is more from when I was playing Quidditch. I have a nice big scar on my right hip from where I dove on turf trying to get the snitch, because the snitch is it's a tennis ball on a sock in the kind of the middle small of someone's back, and you got to get around him, so you're doing a lot of diving. I dove on the turf, and that turf burn did not heal super well, so I got like a decent, top level. I mean, it's not a problem, but on my right hip. So again, I have metaphorically thick skin, but anyway, Reaper on the high ground, and we're gonna see just how much damage this gets done. Because Harstem, well, he's opting for a Stargate once again. It's not gonna be the Stargate from desperation as game number 1 was, because remember, that was a game where Harstem went for a rather non-committal, to be totally honest, cannon rush, but it didn't work out whatsoever. And Clem got damage on the other side with his Reaper. This time, Harstem is not allowing the Reaper to get any damage. Decent zoning on the Adept, but the Reaper's gonna turn around. Of course, the Adept shade is faster than the Reaper, but the Reaper is faster than the Adept. But does Clem take a page out of Maru's book? He's building Marines, of course. He went for a Reaper into a reactor. into reactored Marines? I don't think so. Byun, of course, has been going for this. Well, I just have stuff, and I'm going to build a medevac and run across the map. There's a second barracks. Ooh, that's a quick second barracks here. So it looks like we're going to see like a 5:36-minute stim timing coming out of Clem, actually, which, hey, you know, the rush distance natural to natural, well, it's third to third. That's pretty short. Natural to natural is a little bit longer. But Harstem immediately goes into Phoenix play. And then he builds one Phoenix. And obviously, he's going to build more. You don't build a Stargate for a singular Phoenix, but it is kind of awkward to build that one Phoenix and just put it across the map and then not build anything else. Oh, I guess he did. He did build two. Okay. We're not quite at the loneliest number. Because if you think about it, a single Phoenix, really, okay, not going to say every game, because there's certainly games where that single Phoenix can win the game. But in most games, going single Phoenix is just a very expensive hallucination scout. So a Phoenix shows up, sees the Cyclone, sees the Marines. But Harstem is actually opting to take the Pocket Natural, which, again, a bit surprising. That's very droppable as a Terran, and that's a pretty quick third base coming in from Harstem as well. It's about halfway done already at 4:30. But if it works out for him, it's going to work out for him very well indeed, as he's moving into Phoenix Colossus behind this. So an Immortal to start, of course, because, well, Rebel Bay takes a while to build, but you get the Immortal, you get the Phoenix, and that really does lock down the majority of the defense of things. Now, of course, Clem's timing is going to hit faster than what Harstem may be expecting, or at least what the standard meta is. Stim is, of course, already halfway done. It's going to be done 5:45, give or take. His +1 a little bit slower. But we can expect to see Clem move out, I think, really as these medevacs complete. That should time out very nicely with actually, maybe even a little bit before. That should time out pretty nicely with Stim. And that is going to be a timing with, well, actually, there's already one Colossus out of the map, right? So I think we just need to see Clem take his third. And that is actually, perversely, going for a faster Stim is a more macro build sometimes. Because you're only on 2 racks instead of 3 for the most part. And then, well, I think actually Clem is on a 3-1-1 eventually. I think you got the third racks, but you got the, well, anyway. You just tend to get the third base a little bit faster. Because you're not quite massing up your units quite as much, because instead of massing your units up for this really powerful, this massive army supply lead timing at 7:30, you're just hitting faster. So instead of having a lot of stuff, you're just hitting at a more powerful timing, or a more of a salient point. But right now, Clem trying to just put pressure on where this third base is. We're gonna see the Widowmine claim the Zelnaga. But again, one Colossus, 2 Colossus actually I think are out right now. Third one is on the way. I don't see Clem pushing into this. And yeah, he's just getting his third base on location, 4th and 5th barracks as well. He also does not see himself pushing into this, but this is just a game now where Harstem, by the builds, gets himself a little bit ahead. Phoenix Colossus is something that Clem cannot push into all that easily, so +1 on the way. Extended Thermal Lance halfway done. The Adept's going to shade in, tries to trigger the Widowmine, but it's not going to get it. Oh, unfortunate. The Unburrow Reburrow trick is very, very nice. But Harstem is not going to go straight into carriers. Unlike the previous game, he's not going to go double Stargate Phoenix. No, he's got a Twilight on the way. We will see charge and then blink most likely. Normally, of course, in most games you go get blink then charge, but because the Phoenix take the role of a blink stalker, you just want that charge because that is just such a powerful, beefy component to your army that allows the Colossus to fight just a little bit longer. So, well, Clem finds an Adept, but this game has been honestly pretty uninteractive thus far. That's just kind of how these build orders match up. But the interesting thing is Clem is once again going double starport. Four Vikings at a time, just a really hard counter to this Phoenix Colossus style, and he will have a ton of Vikings. You will have, so the math goes, right? You want 3 Vikings per Colossus if it is, well, I guess 2 to 3 Vikings per Colossus if you're looking at just Colossus play. If it's Phoenix Colossus, that number goes up to 4. So maybe even more, maybe 5. So you're looking at 12, 16 Vikings needed for 3 Colossus. With the Phoenix as well, and well, I mean, Clem's going to get up there very, very quickly. But because of how quick his third base is, again, his production was a little bit slower, so Harstem is actually keeping a pace. of Clem's army supply. So as he's got his 4th base on the way, Clem's not going to have this big mid-game swell of Terran bio that you might normally expect, where they run across the map and they're up 20-30 supply and it becomes very difficult for the Protoss. In fact, it seems like Harstem may want to get some aggression of his own going. You don't build Archons unless you plan on doing something with them. They're in theater, there's the concept of Chekhov's gun, which says that a gun on the mantelpiece in the 1st act should not be unfired by the 3rd act. In this case, we have Chekhov's Archon. The Archon made at 8 minutes should not be unused by 9 minutes, really. So, especially as a ghost come out, I mean, Archons, they're just so useless. But as Clem expands to the pocket 4th, that's actually a pretty pushable position for Harstem if he identifies it and he decides to go for it. But seems like he just built a couple Archons to keep himself safe. He's got Warp Prism speed on the way, +1 air attack. He's just getting ready for the late game again, but I don't know how much I like that necessarily, as now the Widowmine will finally go down, and no longer will Clem have the Xel'Naga. We saw how good Clem's control of the late game was in the last game. Harstem fought his way back into it. He built this powerful army, and Clem just ripped him apart. Now, maybe Clem is making the or maybe Harstem is making the argument that, well, first of all, maybe it's Stargazers, but Stargazers is a map that honestly I feel like is a little bit harder to defend on than Inside Out is. But maybe Harstem's making the argument that he's less behind, so we can get into it just a little bit more safely. And I guess I got to give Harstem some credit. The reason he lost the last game was, Archons run forward. There's gonna be some juicy splash shots, but the Vikings retreat in time. Really, the reason he lost that last game at the end of things was more because he lost his disruptors. They weren't with the carriers, and well, they got sniped. But we're gonna see now a bunch of zealots warp in the main base. Warp Prism does fall, and when you get Warp Prism speed, you kind of want, well, a Warp Prism to stay alive. But still, 8 SCVs have gone down, and Harstem, well, now is his opportunity to find some damage. He's got his army on the map, zealots in all 3 bases, and here comes the army at the front. Let's see just how much damage he's able to get done, though. He's actually here before the Planetary arrives. EP, they only hit 1 Archon to start, and here come the Disruptors. But these Vikings, you need the Archons under him, otherwise there's no world where this army from Harstem fights. But Archons, they're going to get a couple shots, only 1 actually. Zealous, though, still wreaking havoc in the 3rd base, killing gas, killing supply depots, and it's not going to supply block Harstem or Clem because he does have, 4 bases, but still. Clem is starting to take a little bit damage from these run bys. Of course, we need another Warp Prism for that to truly be successful. And Harstem, well, he got +1 air. He's got 3-1 on the ground. He's got double forge now. Dark Shrine on the way as well, but I'm kind of curious to see what his plan is for this +1 air. Honestly, seeing this number of Vikings may just dissuade him from the idea, and we may see him choose to ground toss for a while. Because realistically, Disruptors are incredible against Vikings. Vikings, they land, the Disruptors kill them, and they certainly don't kill Disruptors in the air. So you just build an army that doesn't care about the Vikings all that much, and it works out rather nice, but you still got to hit your shots. So for now, the Vikings, they're just providing vision at this point, much like the scans do, but the Colossus aren't even part of this army. They're sitting there defensively on the bottom left side, making sure that if there's any sort of bio run by from Clem, Harstem will be able to defend that one. The question, though, is when he takes the 5th base, because it is... Oh, I'm sorry. I thought those were the Colossus. No, that's the Phoenix. I guess the Colossus are maybe in the main base or something. The question, though, is when does Harstem take the goal? Because that is something that we do like to see the Protoss players do. They tend to establish a little bit more map control a little bit quicker. As the Warp Prism arrives once again, a couple more Zealots warp in, but Harstem is... I was gonna say maxed out, but he's not. I guess he actually doesn't have the Warpins for the moment, but still, yet more SCVs will fall, and... Well, the Vikings, they're going to knock down the Warp Prism so quickly, and as they land as well, they're just shredding the Zealots. So the Zealots fall, but 7 SCVs go down as well. Meanwhile, Harstem... Did he lose things elsewhere? He did. Oh! He was killing his own Colossus. He just made the decision that he really didn't want him out. I guess he was just killing a lot of the army he didn't want because, well, I mean, that's a lot of Vikings, so maybe you don't want the Colossus. I don't know, but... Anyway, interesting decision. Certainly in part is because he doesn't want Clem to know what his army composition is changing around to. If Clem knew that Harstem had removed his own Colossus, yeah, he's killing him. If Clem knew that was happening, he would change his composition around. So Harstem, he's just retooling this army. More Zealots, more gateways, more DTs, eventually more Disruptors. And that is invalidating pretty much, what is this, 20 of Clem's army supply? I don't know quite how many Vikings he has, but It is certainly a lot, and they just will not be relevant in the ensuing fights. Now the Stalkers going forward. EMPs blanket them, though, and they're not fighting the best. So Harstem has got to be very careful. And the problem is with all these Vikings, as much as having no Colossus makes it life hard for them, on the flip side, it makes it any sort of War Prism is just impossible. And Harstem is not hitting these disruptor shots that he needs to. So this tiny army from Clem is really fighting rather strong. And Clem has secured his 5th base. In fact, Clem and Harstem are even on base count. Harstem's got a couple more workers, but Harstem's not taking the gold. And that's, when you're playing this style, it is less cost effective. So you try to get just a much bigger economy. You swarm the Terran. You almost play him like a Zerg, but these splits, by the way, these unstimmed splits coming in from Clem are really nice. It's not the easiest thing to do. Clem's making it look like that, but it really is not. And they're just dancing in the middle of the field at this point. Now DTs, I think they blinked on the main base, and we're gonna see this orbital fall. So that's one less scan, one less mule, one less base. So that's, oh no, I guess the War Prism got displayed in the main base. But now Stalkers, they're gonna blink forward, and this is gonna be a dead command center pretty quickly. Stalkers, they got +3 attack, and bonus damage to armor means that command center is going to fall very, very quickly indeed, unless the SCVs have the repair. And it looks like they actually will. Vikings, they go up, they go low, but these DTs are really starting to wreak some havoc. 5 workers have gone down. Of course, the big target was the base that died. So Clem only on 4 bases at the moment. And, well, the big deal, of course, is 3 orbitals. So now Stalkers, they move forward. Disruptor shots trying to zone the army out as much as it can. So here come the Vikings. But the Archons, they're going to do a pretty good job here as the shots, well, they do plentiful splash damage, but the Disruptors are just really not finding the damage Harstem wants. But luckily for him, he's got like 10 of them. He has almost permanent. He's got almost permanent disruptor shots, the Widow Mines on the left side. Well, there's a planetary here as well. So the Zealots, I don't know how much damage they're going to get done, but they will find their way into the natural. Harstem right now, I guess his goal is to just try to find a Clem that is not paying attention. Then the disruptor shots hit, and then suddenly the fight goes very much your way. But for right now, Clem is just microing everywhere where he needs to be. As the shots, I can't believe that we are 15 minutes into this game and we've not seen one juicy connection. Even in games where the Terrans win, it feels like you always see at least one. But now orbitals are starting to fall a little bit. Harstem's positioning is starting to get really nice in this game. Disruptors are zoning out the army on the left side. Zealot's starting to delay, deny, hopefully cancel the base that Clem is making on the north side. And there we go. That's the cancel. So the economy from Clem, he's mining decently. He's going to lose a planetary as well. The economy from Clem is really starting to get hindered here. His army's still powerful. 134 supply, 3-3, 6 liberators at a time. His army's starting to get very powerful indeed, but his economy, again, not all that great. So if Harstem's able to win a fight, it will be difficult to win 2 fights. It will be somewhat difficult for Clem to recover. And now as we have Liberator range, and again, 6 Liberators at a time, well, this Disruptor army is not as good as it once was. Not really by any stretch of the imagination. Because, well, Liberators, they massively, and I mean massively outrange the Disruptors, so the Disruptors, they eat shots. Well, that's happening. Now, Vikings are going to land on the bottom side here, trying to knock down a base, and a lot of them will fall fairly quickly. Stalkers now, they're going to find a lot of Liberators, as, well, Harstem's playing a ring around the roses. He's actually going to get a lot of Liberators here. This is really nice. But the Marauders underneath, they're a bit of a problem. Defensive DTs look like they deal with the Viking harass. So Harstem actually takes a pretty nice trade over the last little bit of time. He's on 6K, 3K. 6K, 2.5K. His economy, again, going like gangbusters. He's building a massive bank. So he really can afford to rebuild his army for the most part. He doesn't want to take trades for free, but as long as he gets something, again, he's just abusing the economy that Clem does not have. His Disruptors into the mineral line, get a couple more SCVs. And as he retreats, he probably should be able to get that orbital that I think was once a planetary. Or I think it's an orbital right now. Might still be a planetary, not sure. But this fight actually coming in from Clem is a little bit scary for Harstem. It seems like he's run out of a lot of his Disruptors. There we go. There's the recall. But Clem gets every single one, and Harstem cannot be happy about that one whatsoever. Literally doubling the army supply at this point is Clem. And Harstem, while this is an army that he can reinforce a little bit stronger, the problem is I think he's still only on double robo. We never saw him get a 3rd or a 4th. So he's only building 2 Disruptors at a time. And oh, well, wait a minute. I'm sorry. I didn't even see that Disruptor coming from the bottom side. We talked about how we haven't seen one juicy Disruptor shot. Well, we just did. And Clem's starting to realize as well that he does not have concussive shells in this army 18 minutes in. It means the Colossus, it means the Disruptors can actually run away from that army so much better. So Harstem, he keeps the game alive by getting that disruptor shot. He keeps himself safe. He allows himself to get back into this game, but this army is not nearly as technical as it once was. And now the Zealots, the DTs, they're going to find their way into the main base once again, finding actually a ton of Clem's army. The DT, I don't know how many scans we have, to be totally honest. Clem's got to be spending a lot of scans or a lot of energy on mules just to keep his economy up. As I say, that 66 workers is fine, but here comes the army of Clem. Once again, really surrounding, really closing out this concave. But the disruptors, for the most part, they do a very good job of making it so that Clem can never truly engage. And as the count starts to increase, I mean, remember, Harstem is on, he's on 3-3 on the ground. He's got +2 shields on the way. At least I think that's +2. Because unfortunately, +2 and +3 shields are both green, or both blue. But I'm pretty sure that's +2 shields. And it looks like Harstem's going to go for a base snipe. That is a lot of DTs. Oh, disruptor is not going to find it. So the moment that Clem is distracted, maybe when the scan goes down, I don't know. But yes, that is an orbital, so that's not going to be base snipe. And there is absolutely detection there. But here comes the army of Harstem. Once again, you got to be careful of the flanking shot on the left side. And yeah, Harstem's aware of this. He's got to run away. But I'm not sure how well he can because, well, now concussive shells is done. Every retreat from this point onwards that Clem has, he's just going to pick off a little bit here and a little bit there and a little bit here and a little bit there. And it's a lot harder now for Harstem to be quite as cost effective as he otherwise would have been. Is again, Harstem denies the pocket base. Meanwhile, DT, this is a snipeable base. Certainly. Disruptors, though, they're going to find their way. They're actually not going to find the damage they're looking for, but another base will go down. And there we go. The DTs, well, yeah, they get the base. And you gotta go kill the missile turret. That does mean the Liberators can do something. But 18 SCVs have gone down. Clem now only on 52. He's really only mining out of one base. But those stalkers, they blink right into a concave, Harstem. That's not what you want, and he will lose a lot. He's got money to replace it, but really lacking gas for the most part here. So they will be mostly charge lots coming in. And now Harstem, he is well and truly surrounded, trying to fight his way out of a corner, trying to find his way out of a paper bag. But unfortunately, it's not a paper bag. It's made of steel. And the entire army of Harstem falls down once again. But Harstem is going to try to force Clem back once again. He's warping in a couple stalkers to kill off all these Liberators. And he's got some level of stag defense on the other side. Some level of stag defense. It's not a lot. That much is fair. And the Vikings, well, or the Bile, excuse me, will knock down the stalkers in the base. Clem can finally mine from that one once again. And it's 130 army supply to 57. Does Harstem have a sneaky disruptor shot? Does he have that magic in him once again? He got it earlier. In fact, he got it so good I didn't even see it. But right now, these are the only 3 disruptor shots he has. Clem just well aware of the range. He just sits right outside of it. And the moment that shot is done, he gets ready to stim in once again. A couple DTs on the bottom left side. But again, there's that missile turret that was not dealt with the first time. So I don't know how much these DTs are really going to be able to get done. There we go. There's the missile turret down. And that actually is a bit of an opportunity now for Harstem to get something. He's looking for a flank on the backside, but that's what the Liberators are for. They close out space, and it seems like Harstem will finally lose his first base in this game. There's the scan. DTs will be dealt with. A bunch of probes falling as well. And that's a decent shot here, but Harstem, oh, there we go. That's the shot, but no. Clem targets it down on a knife's edge, but that should be the knife's edge that cuts Harstem in twain. 28 probes have fallen. Harstem, his army is back up a little bit once again, but it's not a technical one. It's Stalker Zealot. The entire economy, the bank of Harstem's done. He's mining he's mining off of literally 1 gas geyser, maybe 2. He's got a bunch of minerals, no gas, and Zealots do not fight this army that Harstem has anymore. So, or that Clem has anymore. So Harstem is going to try to take the gold base, not going to be successful. Zealot warpins, not going to be all that successful either. And if you win with the Zealot, I mean, I don't even know how he's supposed to win with the Zealots at this point. He's going to try because the Zealots have to almost form like a force field. That's how the disruptor get their shots. I think that's the only way that Harstem gets the game at this point, but who knows? Maybe we're gonna have to see a miracle as Harstem is trying to set up some pretty nice flanks, and that's a good shot to start. Those disruptors! Oh, Clem targets that one down, and now there's only 1 shot remaining. I think it's on cooldown anyways, so Clem, really nothing to be worried about at this point. He drops the scan. He's going to tag the Disruptor, and it should now fall as the Zealots. Well, there are plenty of Liberators where that came from. It actually looks like the Disruptor gets out. Zealot flank is starting to be a little bit nicer here as Clem runs out of healing for the most part. His army is getting rather low, so Harstem is going to be able to chase this one down. But now here come the Liberators, and that's where things get a little bit scary. But the Stalkers, they turn around as well. One Liberator falls, and in the push me fool you, the ebb and flow, the tug of war that is this game, Harstem fights Clem back again. And now he's been able to establish not a ton of gas mining, but just a little bit more. And that will at the very least allow him to continue to build Blink Stalkers and maybe a couple Disruptors. Or Disruptors and maybe a couple Blink Stalkers, depending on how he chooses to spend his gas. But more Stalkers, more Zealots, warp in. Harstem on 99 army supply. He's going to try to get this base down. But I mean, there's a mass repair here. And if there's one thing Clem has at this point, he minerals. He's got mules. So the planetary will stay alive. Disruptor from the high ground is not going to bait Clem into an engage. And now Clem's just going to find the army on the low ground. Disruptors are not there. And again, Harstem cannot take this fight without the Disruptors. The Stalkers, they blink in once again, trying to take advantage of the line of sight blocker and, well, maybe kill off some Liberators, but they're not going to be able to do so. And now, there we go. The last of the Disruptors will, well, okay, Clem's not going to get one, but he gets enough. And Harstem played an incredible game. Actually, both games were rather nice, but Clem takes it now, folks. We're going to an ace match. So one game to rule them all. One game for all the marbles in the upper left. The ace for Team Liquid. It's Clem. And the counter pick from the bottom right side. He is Byun. And this makes a lot of sense. You might ask yourself, why is Byun the ace? Well, first of all, Byun is probably the most successful player of the Shopify Rebellion, but Scarlett has been successful in aces before. Lambo has been successful in aces before. But Clem, while he is a terrifying player, his TvT is not nearly to the level of his other two matchups. So we're going to have to see what Byun is going to be able to get done here. For right now, he has wanton aggression on the mind. There we go. Double barracks on the way. He seemed, for a moment, it seemed like he thought this was campaign. This was Age of Empires, where the more SCVs you have building a structure, the faster it gets built. But that's not how multiplayer works, folks. Just so we're clear, 2 SCVs do not make a barracks build faster, although kind of feels like you should. Although imagine how horrifying that would be. You pull like 5 SCVs for a proxy barracks, and it just goes up like immediately. Horrifying, I tell you. That's the stuff of what nightmares are made of. But what's also the thing that nightmares are made of is the fact that Clem has not scouted. He does not have any idea what is coming in from Byun. He's going to rely on the Reaper to scout, I guess, but you don't always scout with your Reaper anyways. So 2 Reapers are now on the way from Byun, and of course, this is Barracks Double Gas Factory. This is not a build that dies easily to a 2-Rax Reaper play. In fact, that's one of the reasons why this build from Clem is so popular. You go Barracks Double Gas Factory, you get pretty quick Hellions, and you deal with it. You have enough there where you just end up just a little bit ahead. You find yourself ahead economically because you make the hold happen. But just because that's normally what happens. Oh, the Reaper's going to take damage here. Reaper's on the high ground. Byun gets the first shots. The Reaper is not going to go down, just barely. But now we're going to see the factory is going to get pretty heavily delayed here. SCVs have to commit to make sure it gets up. And that's just going to be a couple dead workers. 3 workers are going to be the immediate toll here. It's going to be 4, but now the factory is done. But Byun already starting to snowball here. He's got 3 Reapers in the main base. Now he can 2-shot SCVs, and 5 of them have gone down. Now there's 6. And Clem is just losing his entire lunch here. 8, 9, 10 SCVs. They hit the deck in the ace match. And folks, not a single Reaper went down, but now there are 2 going down. Byun bungles that one just a little bit, but he commits anyways because now his opponent's Reaper's dead. Now the Marine is dead. 9 SCVs are dead, and Clem puts his head back in dismay. He knows this is not good. Because remember, yes, Byun, he lost 2 Reapers. He's only on 3 right now. He's not on 5. There are a lot of low SCVs. So Byun's going to try to find, well, he's going to try to get on top of the Hellions. But with 2 Hellions here, this probably should be the extent of what Byun gets done. There we go. Bails out, loses another Reaper. And at this point, Byun is done, I think. But as I say that, he's building more Reapers. So maybe not. But again, on the other side, he's got Command Center on the way. Really, his Command Center on the way. His factory just completed. So he is advancing his tech right up like you might expect. any sort of counterplay from Clem will really not be all that successful. The tech lab already done for the factory, so Cyclones are going to be out, or tanks, whatever you want. Both those are very good against any sort of pressure coming in from Clem. So Byun, he's got himself up to, I imagine, going up to 6 Reapers. Actually, it looks like 5. Okay. But Clem is building a Marauder. That doesn't make a lot of sense. Reapers go to the high ground. They get the Marine immediately. The Hellions, they got to run here. And the Hellions getting very low indeed. The micro from Byun is really fantastic. More SCVs are going to fall, and that's just the sacrifice. Byun, he would like to get more, absolutely. But even they'll still getting 4 more SCVs, getting a Hellion, scouting that there are Marauders on the way. Well, that's right. He's not going for a hell. What in the world is Clem doing here? He's got 2 Marauders in a tank. There's no concussive shells. I legitimately have no idea. I guess maybe the idea, the thought is you just bomb on top of the tank and kill that off. But again, lack of concussive shells is a bit of a problem. The lock-on is exactly what you want. It's on the medevac, and there's a Viking in the sky as well. So that's nice, but actually, you know what? The Cyclones sort of get somewhat low here. The lock-ons are not exactly what they need to be, and the Marauders are doing well enough. A couple SCVs have gone down to the tank, really, so it's a decent start for Clem in this pressure. 6 SCVs have died. I mean, Byun is still ahead 7 workers, and he still has a natural, but it's something. Clem needs more, though. Another tank will arrive. He's going to take a high ground position right now. As here comes the army trying to go up the ramp as the tank unsieges. But now the tank's going to siege up on the low ground. But already first shot, SCVs get pulled. Hellion is dead. And I think Clem is actually dead in this game again. Yes, 10 workers have died. But Byun, he's got a natural. He's up 6 workers anyways. Bit of an interesting build from Clem. It was really just I need to do something right now or I lose the game. And unfortunately, he was not able to do that thing. So Shopify, they win the week in the ace. They get 2 points. Liquid gets 1. And Shopify, well, we'll have to see what Storm does, what DPG do to determine where Shopify ends up at the end of week 4. But for now, folks, hope you enjoyed it. Stay safe.